Hi everyone, it's Patricia and today is a special version of Tester Tuesday. We're starting the fall and winter new release edition for this upcoming Scentsy catalog, the fall and winter Scentsy catalog. What I usually do is I put the new releases in a bag, but I also added Be Merry and Butter Pecan because they're new to the catalog, so we have 12 scents. And we may have a little twist towards the end of this series, so stay tuned and I'll let you know about that. But this voting process is really interesting, especially when we have the new releases come up, because people come out to vote and we set a new record. The previous record was 148 votes, but we killed the record. We had 180 votes. And actually, I think we received like 6 or 8 votes after the fact, which I did not count. The other interesting thing, with 180 votes, there was almost a 3-way tie for first place. It came down to one set of votes that I found underneath my pinned comment. I always go through and I found one more set of votes, and that kind of broke the tie. So let's find out what the first place scent was. In first place, it is a rusty brown colored wax, and it is First Day of Fall. Now, all 3 scents that we're going to discuss this week, which is a slight difference, we're going to discuss 3 scents each week, but all 3 had 23% of the vote because there was such a tight race. So tied for second, we have the light blue colored wax of I'm Snow Over It, and also the caramel colored wax of Stroopwafel Delight. And I don't know if I'm saying that right. Some people say Stroopwafel, but I think you're supposed to say it with a little funkiness, but I don't know. Anyway, you'll notice I also have bars. Normally I use testers, but I received bars as a complimentary I got an incentive, so we're going to use my bars instead of my testers. So it's kind of nice I didn't have to buy extra testers. Okay, so the order, in case you're interested, it went First Day of Fall, then I'm Snow Over It, and Stroopwafel Delight tied for second. And there was 1 vote separating First Day of Fall by the second place scent. Then we had Candied Cranberry Pecan, Blood Orange Spice, and Be Merry at the end. So the first scent we're going to discuss this week is First Day of Fall. This on cold, when you first smell it, it's about a light to medium scent. I would say closer to light. And obviously it's in the new release category. And it's in the spice category. Let me read you the scent description for First Day of Fall. It says, all the best parts are here. Just picked pumpkin, a breath of autumn woods, ground nutmeg, and a spicy dash of cinnamon. So sometimes I make fun of Scentsy and their long descriptions, but I think this one is great because they basically say all the best parts are here. And I would definitely agree. This is a great scent. All the best parts are there. I'm not even a big pumpkin fan, but you can definitely pick up fresh pumpkin. It's not overwhelming. Let me just say before we go through all 4 scent notes, this is a really well blended scent. And what that means is nothing jumps out and steals the show. It's like a basketball team that has 5 players that are working together instead of like a Kobe Bryant that's, a big star, or a Michael Jordan or something like that. You have all 5 players working well together and no one really jumps out at you. So we have the pumpkin. Autumn woods. I would kind of say that imparts like an earthy freshness. The next thing we have is nutmeg, and I'm not sure, I think I get nutmeg. When I warm this scent, I kind of pick up the tiniest, and I mean tiny, hints of here and there of a bakery tone. But I think what it is, it's the nutmeg that I'm picking up, because nutmeg is a predominant note in donuts. If you didn't know that, yes, a lot of donuts have a predominant spice of nutmeg in them. And I think the nutmeg I'm picking up in my nose is confusing it with donuts, but it works well. And the dash of cinnamon, it says a spicy dash, and it's just a dash, but because cinnamon is intense and spicy, it does carry a good presence, but it's not going to be like a super boom in your face. It's not like cinnamon bear, red hot, all you smell. It is veering towards a red hot, almost I would call it a craft store cinnamon, not quite red hot. There's different levels, but it's definitely there. But because you add in all those other things, it works very, very well. So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Very nice, traditional, typical fall scent. Done extremely well in terms of the scent notes. So how did this do? First off, Fragrance appeal, I should say cold and warm is probably about 8 out of 10. Really, really like this one. I warmed the 5 cubes here in 3 different locations. So what I had was, I had my daughter smell the 3 scents this week, and she liked this one. So I put 2 cubes in her room. We'll get to that. But I wanted to make sure I warmed it in each, at least 2 locations. So anyway, I decided to warm 1 cube in my mudroom laundry room, 2 cubes in my bonus room, and 2 cubes in my daughter's room. So in my mudroom laundry room, I have a mini warmer there. The 1 cube strength and throw was probably 6.5 max on day 1. And then it lasted for 34 hours over 3 days. Now, after it started to die down, it was at a very low intensity, probably 3 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10, but I left it in because I could get hints of it, coming to me. In my bonus room, I put 2 cubes in a 25 watt bulb warmer. Strength and throw there was about 6.5 to 7. And I had it going 26 hours over 3 days. So not as many hours, but about the same amount of days. And in my daughter's room, 2 cubes in a 25 watt beacon bulb warmer. Again, strength and throw 6.5, maybe 7 if we're pushing it, and that's maximum. I left it in 48 hours over 3 days. Now let me just summarize how this scent went in general. So I said to my daughter, which scent do you want in your room? She said this one. After I took it out, I said, how did you like the scent? And she said, I barely remember it. So I think what it is it's not quite strong enough that you can pick it up very easily after the first day. So I think, she remembered it on day 1, but day 2 and 3, and she's a teenager, so day 2 and 3, it's very, very soft. So would I like it to be a little bit stronger? Definitely. I think if it was a tiny bit stronger, I would love it. I'm going to say if you like scents like Autumn Hearth and maybe Cedar Cider, if you put these 2 together, it might kind of be similar to this, although Cedar Cider is apple-based and this is pumpkin-based, but it's kind of along the same line. I would say this is best suited for small to medium rooms. You're going to get a better result. I don't think it would be great in an open concept space unless you're willing to have a very low level scent throw. And it's also good for people if you find traditional fall scents too overwhelming, too powerful, then this might be a great alternative because it's dialed down a notch. So I would say scent I really, really liked. Strength, I wish it was a bit stronger. And it was fairly long lasting, but at a lower level intensity. Will I repurchase this? I'm not sure. Maybe 1 bar. Scent number 2. And I do have cheat sheets here because there's a lot to go through. I don't want to forget to tell you guys things. Okay, let's talk about I'm Snow Over It. And I feel like I'm going to call this the wrong scent because there's been a lot of scents over the past few years that have kind of been along this line. This on cold is about a light to medium scent. I found it light to start, but I feel like it's getting a little bit stronger as the days pass, but it could just be in my imagination. This is a new release and it's in the fresh category. Scent description for I'm Snow Over It is you know you love it. Sage, whispering pine, and cedarwood bursting with bright red berries will rekindle your winter romance. Okay, sage. Let's go over the scent notes. Sage. It's an herb. Do I smell sage? I'm not sure. I smell like an herbal tone. I'm not huge on sage, so whispering pine. And sometimes I make fun of Scentsy because I'm like, why put whispering? And then I thought, maybe there's more to it. So I looked up, is whispering pine a fragrance oil? And it is. Who knew? Anyway, whispering pine is described as an outdoorsy blend of peppermint and coriander. So that explains why some of these snow scents all have that like mintiness and fresh air quality. It's that, like in this scent, it's that. It's the whispering pine. You would think it's a pine, but no, it's an outdoorsy blend of peppermint and coriander. So yeah, you definitely get the outdoors part, but that note may throw some people off. Cedarwood. Obviously it's going to smell a little bit woodsy, but I looked it up. It's a camphor-like, has a top note of camphor, kind of like scent, with a woodsy balsamic undertone. So anyway, kind of like a woodsy, sap-like smell. And yeah, I can definitely say there's cedarwood in here. You can get cedarwood. Red berries. At first I thought, no red berries. And then I'm like, well, maybe there's some sweetness from the berries. And then the more I smell it, I'm like, I kind of feel like It's a little bit of the berry smell from Be Merry, but I could just be imagining that. Anyway, so let me read to you what I have written down about this scent. I'm going to read it to you in two parts. Okay, I describe this as a fresh, clean winter air scent. It's kind of eucalyptus without being nose clearing. There's some hints of a minty herbalness, and there's basically a lot of clean, fresh air with a woodsy cologne kind of twist and a slight sweetness. So I take notes when I'm warming, and that's kind of what I had warmed. Now, what I left out was what I noticed when I walked into the room to assess the smell. Usually what I do is I put the scent in, and about 1 to 2 hours, usually about 2 hours later, I make sure I come in and check it for strength, because that's kind of when it's going to be at its maximum for most scents. I walked into this room, this is where I warmed it, 2 spots. I walked into this room and I thought, what is that smell? It's like the underlying smell of everything I just described to you, but I smelled a raw bread dough note, and it was very noticeable. So fragrance appeal on cold was about 7 out of 10, and fragrance appeal on warm, because of the raw bread dough that I picked up, could just be my nose. Like, all of these are subjective, right? That brought it down to like 4 or 5 out of 10. I think instead of I'm snow over it, they should call it I'm dough over it, because there's definitely something a little weird. And if you have warmed this scent, I want you to let me know if you pick up the dough note. And I should say I picked it up much stronger in this room than I did downstairs in my son's room, and his room is a lot bigger. So it goes to show, if you have warmed something in a small room, you're going to pick up probably the notes a little bit stronger, because it's concentrated and contained, and his room is bigger. So I kind of didn't get a boom in your face dough note, but I still got it. Anyway, so how did this do? Strength and throw in this room, no problem, 8 out of 10. And you're probably going to be surprised at that, but yes, it was 8 out of 10 up here. I had it going 37 hours over 4 days. So no problem with longevity either. In my son's room downstairs, and that was 2 cubes, by the way, and a 25-watt bulb warmer. In my son's room downstairs, I put 3 cubes divided between a 12-watt element and a 25-watt bulb. 2 different rooms that are kind of joining. Strength and throw there was lower, 7 out of 10. But like I said, it's a bigger room, and I didn't get as much dough tone. So yeah, I'm snow over it. I kind of compared it to a few other scents. Like we have from last year, we have Snow Place Like Home, which this is quite a bit more minty. Glacial Ice, I think, was quite a bit sweeter. Olaf, I think, has more like vanilla. Anyway, I'm not going to open it. And I also feel it's kind of close to lavender and white balsam. Obviously, take out some of the lavender. But anyway, if you like any of these scents, Snow Place Like I'm Home, lavender, white balsam, glacial ice, Olaf, those kind of scents you may really like. I'm snow over it. And for where you should warm it, I would say you could probably warm this anywhere if you want. If you find you do get the strange bread dough tone like I did, you could try warming it in a bigger zone and you won't pick up as much. So in general, scent for me is because of that dough tone. Strength was fine and longevity was fine. This would not be a repurchase for me just because of the dough strangeness that I picked up. All right, let's move on to scent number 3. This is Stroopwafel Delight. This is medium to strong on cold sniff. Yeah, pretty noticeable. I would say closer to strong. And this is a new release in the bakery category. Let me read you the scent description. It says, a cozy twist on a Dutch treat made with creamy vanilla, rich melted butter, and cinnamon. So the scent notes we have are creamy vanilla, melted butter, and cinnamon. And I would definitely say it's a very vanilla-based scent. So I get like a creamy vanilla, almost like that dough again, but a good kind of dough. Maybe a little more than half. The melted butter a little less than half. And it gives it a lot of richness, that melted butter. And then the cinnamon. I feel like there's barely any cinnamon in this, like 1 or 2%, barely a hint. I don't even know why they mentioned it. Not very much cinnamon. So if you don't like cinnamon, you still might want to pick this up. And if it is a cinnamon in there, it's probably a bakery, which most people can tolerate. So this one I described as a strong smell of just barely cooked batter flavored with vanilla extract. It's not overly sweet, and you just get a whisper of cinnamon. That's what I had written down. But let me tell you what it reminds me of. My Uncle John, he's French, and when he has pancakes, he doesn't have maple syrup, which is odd because I think in Quebec, they love their maple syrup. Like in Canada, everybody loves maple syrup. I don't love it. But anyway, my Uncle John, Jean is what his name is, but we call him John. He takes his pancakes and he takes them out and he puts a little bit of butter down, and the butter melts over the pancakes. And then he takes brown sugar and just sprinkles it on. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. So I tried it one time, and it's kind of nice because you get a little crunch of that brown sugar, and it's not overly sweet, because I find maple syrup really soaks into the pancakes and kind of, sometimes you get a lot of syrup and not very much of the pancake or dough. So this one gives you a lot of that like pancake waffle kind of smell with the butter and just a little sweetness, just a little. And like, I don't know, maybe the brown sugar you sprinkled on, like you had a little bit of cinnamon on your hand and just a hair landed on your food. But it's just so good. That sounded bad, didn't it? It sounded like a hair was on your food. Anyway, you know what I mean. Just the slightest touch of cinnamon. Like I said, don't let that cinnamon note scare you. Okay, so how did this do? I'm rambling. I put 4 cubes of the 5 in my open concept layout because I thought, well, this is pretty strong. Let's give it a go. There's 3 25-watt bulb warmers there, and I divided up. Strength and throw maximum was 8.5, so that's great, especially in that big area. And longevity, I left it in 30 hours over 2 days. Now let me tell you, day 1 was no problem. Day 2, it took about 2 or 3 hours easily to build in the room enough that I could smell, and then I could really smell it. Not really smell it, but I could definitely smell it. So day 1, I describe it as like a Scentsy addict smell, and day 2 was more like my mother-in-law, who barely likes any scents, but she would come in the house and say, oh, it smells good, because she can pick up even the slightest bit of anything. So it was a nice soft vanilla on day 2, probably about half the intensity in my big area. Now in the other cube out of the 5 here, I warmed in my son's room. He has a Colors of the Rainbow bulb warmer, which is 25 watts. So I warmed 1 cube in his small bedroom. Strength and throw, it didn't seem as strong, but it was 7.5 to 8. It might just be because it was 1 cube. But I had it longer lasting there, 44 hours over 3 days. And again, it was definitely stronger day 1, and then it kind of fizzled out, but still could smell it. A nice doughy vanilla, slight sweetness, very rich with the butter. If you like scents like butter pecan, or churro, or vanilla bean buttercream, sugar cookie, all those kind of basic vanilla scents, you're probably gonna love this. Yeah. This one here, the scent was really good. I really liked the scent. I really liked the strength of it, especially on day 1, and long lasting enough for me. This has already been a repurchase for me. And I would probably say you could warm this almost anywhere, maybe not a bathroom, but because it does have a foodie note to it, just a bit. But yeah, it's very versatile. I think that one's going to do well. Stroopwafel Delight. Okay, so let's get to drawing for this week's scents. I kind of know what the 6 scents are, but we're just going to randomly draw them and see what order they come up. So this is how it works. If you're new, you're going to vote for 2 scents from the 6 that I picked, 2 different scents. By Wednesday morning, please check the pinned comment to see if voting is closed. If you cannot comment down in the comments area of YouTube videos, find my post on Instagram. It's Patricia Gates, and put your 2 votes there, and I will tally them. So here we go. Let's see if we can beat another record. I don't know. Scent number 1, grapefruit and grenadine. Scent number 2, huckleberry wreath. Scent number 3, fiddle leaf fig. Scent number 4, butter pecan. Scent number 5, brownie batter. And last but not least, we have maple apple bourbon. So just a review for you guys. The scent voting options: grapefruit and grenadine, huckleberry wreath, fiddle leaf fig, butter pecan, brownie batter, and maple apple bourbon. So thanks for spending the last almost 20 minutes with me. I'm sorry these reviews are going to be a little bit longer because there's 3 scents and there's just a lot to talk about. So I will see you guys in the next video.